Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final installment of TechTalks. My name is Duane Ashley, and I'm the program supervisor of community recreation for the city of Pittsburgh. And I'm obviously not the usual face that you all have been seeing almost every week, but today I will be interviewing my good friend and colleague, Max Dennison, who's the man behind all of this. So everyone that's viewing, I hope everyone had a great holiday and is in good health, especially with the pandemic going on, especially. But we're going to jump right into putting Max on the hot seat. And Max, if you can introduce and tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for helping out and hosting.
Sure.
My name is Maximilian Dennison, Digital Inclusion Coordinator for the City of Pittsburgh. Many of you know me. I'm usually in the interviewer seat, and we use Direct to Tech Talks monthly to engage and take the opportunity to meet other people who usually aren't highlighted in the tech space. So it's a pleasure to be a guest and also a part of this whole thing. And again, I appreciate Sue and Duane for being here and help out the process. I'm the Digital Inclusion Coordinator for City of Pittsburgh. I'm a native of Pittsburgh, originally born on the Hill District, Shinley High School graduate. I went to all of the schools pretty much in the city, Frick International. Originally, I went to school, university for education. Started off in political science, minored in history. My tech journey didn't come till later in the process. I was kind of sick of teaching. Teaching is much more difficult in real life than it is on the movies. But I was kind of tired. I wanted to go for a career change, and I tell everybody a friend of mine, we're going to have one actually this year as well. And we have a whiteboarding session to start the year off to write down our goals, things we would do differently, things we would do better. And my friend asked me, a close friend of mine asked me, what would you do if you could do anything? What would you do? And I said, I would be in the tech. I would jump into tech. I would run a startup. And that started the journey, man. I went back to school. Pretty much dove right into it. Took boot camps, online courses, community college courses, just whatever I could do to learn to get involved and engaged in tech. And once I became fluent, so to a certain level, I believe I'm self-taught, just because I didn't learn traditionally, like many people. But in the tech space, there are people who are self-taught. Many of the biggest tech people that Zach Dorsey, a lot of the billionaires are self-taught as well. But I did go and take courses and classes because there's always going to be information that you don't, it's like you can learn it, but you're going to need a mentor. You're going to need somebody to kind of walk you through those spaces that you don't understand. So, yeah, I jumped into tech. And then immediately once I got involved, I seen there was a need in the community for this information. Many students didn't understand what AI was, even though they were using it. Many students didn't know what coding was, computer science, computer programming. So I reached out to a partner of mine who actually did go to university for tech and said, hey, I got an idea. Let's create some programming around code. And we kind of started in school, after school program. But when we really kicked it off, it was just an idea between two friends. We didn't have any idea we were going to make any money. We didn't know if it was going to be a bust. It was just like, hey, we want to provide the opportunity for kids to learn how to program. And 6 years later, it's been a wild ride, but it's been, I don't doubt the decision. I'm glad I didn't stay. I feel like I'm still in education. I feel like I'm still helping students, still working with students, but I'm happy that I didn't just stay in the schools.
Definitely, man, that's all good. And I even, myself, a little background with meeting you, like I moved around, just to several different, locations or centers with the city of Pittsburgh. And I first met you when I was, the acting center director at Warrington. And,
right.
You were, obviously, had beta builders, kicked off and everything. And then, like the job opened up, which was a completely new job, something that the city has never implemented, and you accepted and took, on the ground running with it. How has that transition been since, like I said, obviously you still have beta builders, but how has that transition been, with beta builders to now a completely new position, to try to, with the city of Pittsburgh, bridging the, I always like using my tech, terminology, the, digital divide and everything. How has that, just whirlwind been for you?
I think it's been great. I think, just being transparent, when I came to the city, it was right Precursor before COVID. And honestly, I just feel like, not to get too, I'll just say this because I don't know how many people, or I don't want to get too religious or anything like that, but I'll say timing is important in anything, right? So Precursor to COVID, we operated on a very limited, very small budget with beta builders. And what it did, it allowed us to become innovative. It allowed us to become, to utilize resources with our intelligence and not just burn through cash or money or anything. And to, like when we started, we didn't have any computers. We had to literally tell the parents and beta builders, hey, yeah, you can sign up and we'll teach your kids, but you got to bring a computer, which let us know that a lot of people don't even have a computer in their home or don't have access to a computer outside of school. So we learned so much in those first years of beta builders. I felt like it prepared me for when I did transition to the city, because when I got to the city, COVID hit. Our budget was very, it was scarce. We didn't have a lot of money. We had to be innovative. We had to utilize our resources. We had to use what we had. And I felt like I was already prepared for that. I was already doing that anyway with beta builders. I think the biggest thing I said it even when we were in the office of Mayor Peduto, the biggest thing for me being at the city was the access to, bigger names, people with more influence and power as far as decision making. It's so much of a difference when you're just a kid. I say this all the time. When you're just a kid from the Hill District, you got a program and you email Google or you email Microsoft or you email Facebook and say, hey, I want to talk to you guys. They're like skipping over that email. It's like, who are you? We never heard of you. You know what I mean? But when you see, Chief Gilman, Mayor Peduto, former director Ross Chapman, or any of the people that are in place and decision makers, you get so many more responses. People actually take a look at your email and see what you're saying and see what you're doing. So to me, that was a big part of me taking the position, applying for the position, is because I wanted more backing. I wanted more support on a bigger level.
Definitely. Great. And that actually is a little segue into, just the next question I wanted to ask you, because I'm gonna stay on this topic just for a little bit. And, like I know you're pretty, calm, mannerisms and everything, and, things of that nature. But how has it actually been to where, like you said, you're emailing, Chief Gilman, you're emailing, the mayor, you're now at, a prominent position within the city of Pittsburgh in general. And, like I was, even there to witness, like you receiving Max Dennison Day, Mayor Peduto, right. Worded you Max Dennison Day. How was that, experience, it's just like on a personal level, this is before we get into the, real tech talk, but how was that experience been, that transition?
No, that's fine, man. Honestly, we talk about this. So for anybody that doesn't know, ever since Warrington and just conversations with Duane, we've since become friends, and we talk about everything from athletics and sports to tech to everything going on. He's just a good all-around guy. For me, it's always a surprise. It's always, I don't know, I just kind of try to stay grounded, and sometimes I can't even believe that what we're allowed to do, or the ability, like we got to meet, Vice President Kamala Harris. Sometimes so we had the ability to meet the vice president this year just from working. Sometimes the perks and the opportunities that are provided are completely huge surprises to me. I don't take them lightly. I don't pretend like, oh, this happens for me every day. This can happen to anybody. Like they're really special to me. I don't know if I would have had the opportunity to meet any of these people had I not had the position. So it's overwhelming, honestly, and I'm just appreciative, But no matter how big or small we get, whether it's with the city, whether it's with beta builders, I just kind of stick to the basic idea of why we're here. We're here to make sure we engage and give opportunities of exposure in tech and computer science to the kids who probably won't have that opportunity. So no matter who I'm speaking to ground myself before I go into any meeting, any speech, any opportunity, so I don't get lost and confused in all of the melee, I just remind myself why I'm here. How we got here was just working hard and exposing youth to opportunities in tech.
Oh, most definitely, man. I love the answer. And so now I will get into, some of the more tech specific questions. And you touched a little bit on this, just with your intro when you, spoke on, some of the challenges that some of these communities face, in terms of, just, bridging the gap in terms of introducing the youth to technology and everything. It's something as simple as a lot of the kids don't have laptops. What are some of the issues besides that, and including that as well, that you see that a lot of these underprivileged communities face in terms of really getting our youth involved with the tech industry?
Yeah, there's a few. One, mainly when we go to speak to organizations or companies about how they can help us, I try to keep things simplified. And the main thing I always say is we can always use capital, money. Yeah. We can always use social capital, volunteers, people willing to come in and mentor, tutor. And then we can always use hardware and software. So if you can give us the best software from CMU, if you can give us the best hardware from Microsoft or Google, all of those things are the things that we need in the community. So again, hardware, software, kids, there's a lot of kids, a lot of students, a lot of adults that don't have access to a working computer in their home. That stifles your ability to become successful. There's so many stories, even if you go look at previous Tech Talks and you look at the ones who were successful, so many of them were able to get their hands on a computer at a young age, between 10 to 12 or 8 to 12, I would say. If you get access to that computer, it opens up a whole new world. So the hardware, software, the exposure, one of my speeches I always give, and we're really looking forward to working with the athletic teams this year. We want to work with the football teams. We want to work with youth league football. We want to work at, we just recently did the ribbon cutting up Ammons. Yep. For me, the new superheroes, the new athletes, the new people who we need to, or kids to aspire to, are tech people. So it's about exposure and letting, same way I give this speech over and over again, the same way our kids know Steph Curry just made the most 3-pointers, they need to know, about LeBron James, and they can tell you about Pat Mahomes, and they can tell you about all these athletes. It'll be a good day when they can tell you about all of the people in tech making billions and millions of dollars, and when those people actually look like them and sound like them, because it's all about exposure and what you're able to see. So, if you see it and it's successful, then you can become it. So exposure, hardware, software, and again, capital. I just don't think right now the world in general is investing in tech education. Obviously, most of the startup companies, we have a ton of billion-dollar companies right in the city of Pittsburgh. I don't know how much money they allocate to tech education, but they don't have enough workers. They don't have enough people in those spaces. That's why I always tell people there's opportunity at any time if you're really willing to do the work to get into tech, because there's not a large investment of capital into tech education. It's becoming more and more a story, and I don't know if it's really like a genuine story, but it's the idea that a tech company needs programmers. Right. So at some point, they have to invest in the community or into the workforce so that they could get more workers to become successful. So those are the three things I would say are the biggest obstacles, man. We need more investment into the education of tech, more exposure, um, and more actual devices and Wi-Fi and all of those things that make it possible to make your tech education possible.
Gotcha, man. And just to stay on that subject a little bit, just in terms of exposure. And I know how you said that you wanted to make the transition from teaching to tech. Like you wanted to make that career change. How would you direct, like kids or even, just adults, anybody, in terms of, making that transition, because there are a lot of different, avenues to tech. You mentioned, obviously artificial intelligence, you have coding, programming, and you have data analysts, and so on and so forth. How would you, direct somebody or tell them, how to, how that individual to be able to make, their own path and figure out what they actually want to do in the tech field if they would like to make that career change or just enter their career, as a, forefront?
Yeah, so the amazing thing about tech is it's so cheap to enter. Once you get the computer, and you don't have to go out and buy the $1,500 Mac computer. You can go to Walmart if you're an adult and get your $300 Acer, Hewlett Packard. You get your regular HP. Go home. If you already have Wi-Fi, the door is open. You can sign up. There are free and low-cost signups just to get you engaged. My advice has always been watch it, read it, do it, right?
Yep.
So I tell everybody, you can learn how to program by watching YouTube, literally. You take 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, and just watch a YouTube video. Then get you a basics. You could get the computer books for dummies, programming for dummies, Python for dummies, JavaScript for dummies. You could get, there's a great book by Mark Myers called The Easy Way to Learn Python, The Easy Way to Learn JavaScript, Easy Way to Learn HTML, CSS. It's really good with understanding syntax and what you're reading. And for anybody that doesn't know the word, syntax is just the words you're reading in the code. But Mark Myers created this series of books that just simplifies the process of understanding what you're reading. You can get any of these books on Amazon for less than $20 and then doing it. So you can join Khan Academy, you can join Code Academy, you can take Coursera courses if you're really serious and you want to spend, $30, $40 a month. And if you really, want to get involved in, sign up for one or two courses at community college. Depending on where you at, sign at a boot camp. There's plenty of boot camps in the city that can give you this information. So that would be my route. Once you've gained a base knowledge, you've read a few books, you've watched YouTube, and I'm saying every day. It's 30 minutes. When whatever you watch, you're watching reality TV, you're watching athletics. Before you go to bed and when you wake up, watch 30 minutes of code. Pull your book out, read for 30 minutes. Pull your computer out, do 30 minutes of code. If you can do an hour of each, do more. But if you can't, 30 minutes consistently, 6-7 days a week, you'll be amazed at how much in a month you've learned. And you can actually speak the language, and you can actually talk. And if you take your notebook out, you're writing questions. You can go to a program and say, how does this make sense? Or why am I not getting this? Mm-hmm. You can utilize Upwork, Fiverr, and find tutors to help you just for those parts where you don't understand. So it's wide open, man. When I was starting, I literally used a tutor from Nepal. You know what I mean? A tutor from Nepal. I spoke to another Latin brother. It's the world's wide open, man, with the internet, man. You could be talking to somebody in Africa, Europe, anywhere, and they'll be able to help you. So that would be my thing. Read, watch, and do.
Nice. That's really appreciated advice, just, in general. Obviously, we work with the same, demographics and things of that nature. So, that's really, appreciated advice and great. So I'm gonna actually go on, just the opposite end of the spectrum just a little bit. And, because obviously everything isn't, rainbows and sunshine when, like
Absolutely.
enter any field, or, make a transition. What, are the main, obstacles or, issues that somebody, might expect, when entering the tech field?
Uh, so I had the pleasure of being a part of a ecosystem of Black or African American coders or programmers called Black Tech Nation, and we were asked this question. And my answer, I mean, obviously there are going to be real obstacles, right? If you go back and look at the Tech Talks and listen to the conversations that we had with some of the other programmers, we've heard everything from people being discriminated because of ethnicity, gender. Some people are just treated badly because of ambition. Like there's some people that just don't want to see you make it to the top. They don't want to see you become a CEO of a company or an executive partner. So there are real problems that you may go up against, but these are the same problems I think that you would go up against if you tried to make it to the top of the banking field. If you try to make it to the top of the law. I mean, there's just some people that are not comfortable with other ethnicities and other people moving up. And that's just a life thing, right? We know we have work to do in that space. I think the biggest thing a person needs to worry about or concern themselves about, and it's not a problem unless you allow it to be, is imposter syndrome. Once you put the work in, because when I actually started to engage people, I was older. So a lot of the programmers were 23, 24. I was already like 31, 32, 29. I was older, a little bit more mature. I owned a home. Our conversations was different. Like it was, for them, I'm working hard, I'm studying hard because I got a family. I got things I got to do. They were just having fun. They're still, going to college parties, drinking. They'll do, if you ever watch Social Network when they were drinking and coding, and
Yeah.
that's what they were doing. It was like, hey, Max, you want to come out? I'm like, no, I got to go home and put my kids to sleep. Like I can't come do beer pong. I gotta really, this is going to make a difference in my life. So, there could be imposter syndrome. You may feel like, because you didn't go to a big university or you didn't go, through one of these elite camps or something, you might feel like you don't belong. And it's completely untrue. Like I said, some of the absolute best dropped out of school or taught themselves, and they're completely competent. And in the long run, some of them, a lot of them became more successful than those who were technically trained. So it's just all about what you want from it. But I think that's the biggest thing that you'll have to fight against, when just knowing you deserve to be in the room. You put the work in, you sat behind a computer, you watched those YouTube videos, you wrote the code, you created programs, you're in the game now. So that's what I would tell people.
Great, man. And even to stay on that a little bit, we touched on before, you made the transition to teaching to tech. And obviously, you still do a lot of teaching, I'll say, just the education aspect, of your specific, schooling to tech. But how did you, this is a more personal question. How did you really know, once you made that transition that, this is, I made the right decision, this is, how you say, how do you know when you reach that, your big break, how you would say, how did you really feel that this is the industry that, is really fulfilling for myself?
Just, I guess, is the way I kind of think. For me, I'm sorry, I had a pause. For me, I think everybody should kind of look at life, look at what's happening, and you want to be on you got two choices. You can be on the front end of innovation, or you could be on the back end. So you can be somebody that understands and applies the new technology or information, or you could be somebody who is going to be told, you know, what's coming down the pike and what you need to be doing. I always kind of, you know, when I just remember one time looking at the Forbes list, and it was like the top richest people in the world. It was like 7 out of 10 of them, besides Warren Buffett, who made his money in stocks and bonds, and Warren Buffett. It was 3 people. Arnaud Bourneau was in fashion. But it was basically 3 people who were in a different field. The other 7 people, the Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates, the Mike Bloomberg, the Mark Zuckerberg, the owners of Google, they were all at the forefront and they were in tech. And then when I did more research, the richest African-American man in the country was in tech. And the second richest man in the country the second richest black man in the country was in tech. I didn't know where I was going to land. You never really do. You never know how it's going to end up. You never know if you're going to get a great job. Like, I got lucky getting out the city because I actually liked the people who I work with. I had a great boss, great colleagues. I got lucky. I don't know if everybody's experience is that smooth or that fun, but I got lucky. But when I sat down and thought about all of it, I'm like, I'm exactly where I want to be. I wake up every day. I'm happy. I'm not like dreading going to go see people at my office. I'm not like, can't wait till 5 o'clock to leave. And just like exciting things like the ribbon cutting at Ammons, it's like nothing was there. Nothing was on that second floor. And not that I did it all myself. Of course, we have a great team, CitiParks, DPW, all the departments, IMP, everybody that helped in that process. But it's like, yo, we just built something that's going to be there. And it's going to, even after I go, even when we're old men and we're sitting on the island somewhere watching the Steelers, that building is still going to be there, and kids are still going to be utilizing that for tech and robotics and AI. And that makes me happy. You know, like if you could do something that makes you fulfilled, you know, that's one of my 5 things, you know. I mean, you need good family, good friends, good health, good job, and a good partner. You get those 5 things, then you're going to be a pretty happy person. So, you know, there's just so many people I talk to on a regular, man, they hate what they do. So I wake up, like I said, even on the worst days, even when I'm sick, even when I feel bad or I'm down, I'm like, it could be worse. Because I had some jobs, man, where it'd be like, at any moment, I'm ready to walk out of here. You know what I mean? So that's how I knew. That's how I knew. I'm like, yeah, I wake up every day happy about what I'm working on. I'm happy about the future what we're working on. I'm happy about what we accomplished so far. So for me, it's the happiness.
Good, man. And you know, that's, you know, obviously really good to hear, especially, you know, you can wake up happy to do what you do and, you know, make the type of, you know, impact that honestly you specifically have done. You know, I've been around the city, you know, I've been working for, you know, with the city for, you know, going on a decade. You know, I've been around, you know, for just city parks in general for a while, you know, and, you know, like you know, brought a whole new avenue that, you know, we haven't explored, and, you know, one that, you know, the kids, you know, like love to go to, you know, and let alone, you know, they don't even fully realize probably, you know, like the stepping stones that, you know, they're, you know, taking upon now, you know, just for life in general. So that, you know, as a supervisor, a program supervisor on, you know, this, and, you know, that's honestly, you know, much appreciated. And, you know, like I extend all the, you know, gratitude, you know, to, you know, for, you know, just taking upon that, because you know, like I said before, you hit the ground running, and, you know, the fact that you can actually enjoy what you do and make that type of impact is astronomical, you know, whether you realize it yet, you know, or down the line, you know, how you said,
right,
you know, the Rector Tech space in Ammon, for instance, you know, and it's only going to, you know, continue to get builder at all of our centers, and, you know, and surpass that as well, you know. So
absolutely.
I just wanted to, you know, let you know that for sure.
Nah, man, we appreciate you too as well. I mean, I just think we really got a great department. You know what I mean? It's easier when you go to work
Mm-hmm.
and you actually like the people that you work with, and you actually
Much.
enjoy the conversations. And it's there's in our department, at least for me, I can speak for myself. There's nothing forced.
Yep.
You know, it's not like I gotta go to this meeting with so and so. It's just like everything is smooth, and yeah, that's it for me. Like I like the people I work with. I like how I'm utilizing my time. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nice. So, I'm gonna ask you a few more questions. One, I just one of the, of course, just little personal questions. You specifically, what was that you could identify, the worst, experience that you had in the tech field?
The worst experience for me, it was a hackathon. I won't utilize the company, but a friend of mine, Cam Branson, was on here. He spoke to it a little bit. We were both at this hackathon. Cam is an advocate for tech education as well. He was a program manager and leader at All Star Code, which I formerly done as well. So we're always texting, or we regularly communicate and text and talk about youth programming, education, and tech, and what we could do. We both attended the same hackathon, and you try not to think it's discriminatory practices happening, but just the light way to say it was a lot of nonsense happening, man. A lot of nonsense. That's the best word I could. That's the best way to say it nicely. It was a lot of nonsense, a bit of mistreatment. We wrote a long email, answered some questions. We never went back to that hackathon again because technically we don't have to. That's the beautiful thing about tech. As long as we got our computers, we can continue learning and they can continue doing what they're doing. But that situation hurt me more because it was the students.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Like it's new to them, and we don't need any extra external factors to push them away from wanting to be in tech. Right? Like it's really important that their early experiences, that their early opportunities are great experiences, or fun, engaging, exciting. So yeah, that was probably the toughest one, where I had to kind of make sure our kids were comfortable, safe, but also, give them the hard truth of everybody's not going to be happy with you guys joining this space. You know what I mean? It's just one of those real life moments that you have one maybe with your kids or something like that. That is uncomfortable, but it's real, so you got to address it.
Yep.
But it shouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
The long story short, shouldn't have happened.
Nice. So I'm gonna ask, just a couple more, and then we'll wrap up, obviously. And this is a little redundant, but I just wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to, the students, the youth, that want to get into tech? Like what advice or, just motivation, sayings what you give them, in terms of making the transition to, this field?
Yeah, so they all, I'm like the Grinch that stole Christmas, right? I always go into the room and I tell the young brothers, you got like a 0.00003% chance of going to the NFL, but you have like an upwards of a 60 or 70% chance of getting a good job if you jump into engineering and you're good at mathematics and you're good at STEM and STEAM. And the same thing with the young ladies. I'm like, hey, listen, don't get lost in TikTok, man. Build TikTok. The sustainability in the future is going to go through tech. If you want a nice car, if you want a sustainable way of living, somehow, some way, you're going to have to merge tech into whatever you're doing. I don't care if you're in medicine. I just got off the phone the other day with a guy that I don't want to say his name on here, but he's from the city. He's a lawyer and he runs a tech. His law firm is around tech, helping tech companies build their infrastructure. And it's like, that's exactly what the future is going to look like. You can still want to be a lawyer, but you're going to have to merge with tech to be successful. So that's his space, and he's doing it well. He's killing it. But I mean, I don't care if you're going to be a doctor, whatever you choose to do, athletics, whatever, you're going to have to merge tech. So that's my whole thing. Like when kids say, oh, well, I want to be an accountant. Fortunately, AI is going to be reading most of those numbers anyway. So you're going to have to learn how to engage the tech part of it to be the best at what you're doing anyway.
And I completely agree. That's tech is clearly the now and the future.
Right.
So, we'll wrap up with just the last, question. And I think, I watched one of, the Rector Tech Talks that, you've done. And I'm pretty sure, excuse me if I'm wrong, I think it was the one when you interviewed the Carlton Ellis. And I think, like you made mention that, like you were, available for, people to speak with you and everything like that, like, and you advise like do the same, like just almost like a pay it forward aspect.
Absolutely.
How can people, students, whoever, get in contact with you if, they have questions in regards to tech or, just interest in general?
Yeah. We always put the email. You can email me. I'm active on Facebook, Maximilian Dennison. You can reach me on IG. My IG is Max1Mil. You can reach me via my city email, max.dennison@pittsburghpa.gov. And also on LinkedIn, same email. And yeah, anybody, just like Carlton, anybody who is worried, concerned, or just needs a voice of support, please reach out. We need more people of color. We need more women. These rooms are filled with one demographic, and we need more diversity. So please join, and if I can help in anything, I will.
Great. Max, much appreciated for you, actually being on this this end of the interview, for once, and answering all the hot seat questions. Like, and obviously I appreciate everybody who is, viewing and things of that nature. But, I would like for, you to take over, and just get back into the seat and close us out. It's the last of the, Rep the Tech Talk series. And, at least for this year, I don't know what, your future plans are, but, I've been tuned in and, been pretty interested. And, like I said before, like I've seen the impact that you've made in such a short time, which is, and not scary, but it's, it's just, it's endless possibilities in terms of, what our youth can do with somebody that, will come and implement something that, they weren't familiar with. And, somebody that actually cares, especially when you're dealing with, our inner city, we're the city of Pittsburgh, we have, a lot of different neighborhoods, and the fact that, you're doing this where, if you weren't, they might not ever be exposed to something like this,
Absolutely.
So that is, just great for, the community, the city in general. So I would like for, you just to close this out, close the series out, and just want to thank you again, Max.
No problem. And I just want to, because Sue raised her hand. Can you see that question? There's a question in the chat. I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna finish up what you said.
Of course, I had this too low. Oh, here we go. Yeah, see, I needed you for use my own computer. So I'm gonna ask you a question, Max. What advice would you give to mentors, teachers, and parents that will keep the youth involved and interested?
That's a tough one. Just my rallying, my battle cry has always been tech has to be normalized in the community. So the same way, it's always interesting to me that we need advice on tech. And I have no problem with that, but we don't need advice on football. We don't need advice on basketball. We don't need advice on boxing. We just naturally engage and put our children into these things. So we have to normalize tech in the community. It's not going anywhere, and it's not even a now in the future. This has already been happening, right? So we're playing catch up in so many different ways, and it's going to exasperate the wealth gap, the education gap, if we don't get a hold and grip of it right now. So my advice to them would be, what I said earlier, as far as watch it, read it, do it. And if they need help in any of that, reach out. We have our own RectorTech tab on the city page. Reach out to me. There's some great people in the city as well that are doing a lot of things in the workforce development and the youth programming space. Reach out to me. If I can't help you, I have people around. I can send you to other people. We'll figure it out. So, but as long as you can easily, if you knew nothing about coding, you could go on Amazon and say basic coding books for kids. You're going to get a bunch of different coding books. But just start going in that direction. And to answer your former questions, it's been a great 2 years. This has been a great year. A lot of great things have happened. TechTalks, the Ammons, the Max Dennison Day, just all of the coding we were able to get done, all of the programming we were able to get done, all of the kids we were able to reach and work with. So, I'm extremely happy about what we've been able to do. Even on the hardware side, we actually have computers. We got new facilities, and again, so I never get lost in what the mission is, man. Just always reminding myself how I got here, why I'm here, and what needs to be done. Until tech is normalized in the community, there's work to be done, right? So all the kids are talking about robotics and data analysts, like you brought up earlier, data analytics. The same way they talk about the stats of NBA players, and when we having kids having those conversations, then the work is getting done. And then maybe I could go off into another field.
Nice. I hear it, and but for at least for the time being and the foreseeable and distant future, we love having you here, man. Just continue to move mountains, because like you said, you've touched on, a few times, especially just, being an African-American male and, this field especially, and, a lot of our inner cities, like you said, they don't know a lot of things, they're not exposed to this and that, and representation, really matters. And that, completely. Obviously, you mentioned, the gal in Forbes, so you're much appreciated, and, just continue to do what you're doing, and, the youth will follow, and, you'll change generations. So you're much appreciated.
Hopefully, man. Thanks for jumping on, Duane. I couldn't have thought of anybody else to do the conversation with, bro. We'll talk on and off of here.
Of course.
And again, none of this stuff gets done without the whole team. Ross, Director Ross, KV, Assistant Director, Lou, Sue, who's on the call as well.
Miss everything.
Sheila, everybody in the department, John Coyne, all of the rec leaders. None of this stuff is done on our own. It's all teamwork, man. And like I said, it's a pleasure to work on a team of people I actually like and don't mind sitting down with and plotting and making ideas and strategizing with.
Most definitely. All right.
Everybody tune in. Make sure y'all watch TechTalks. Check us out on our city page, the RectorTech link. And just stay tuned. We're actually, even though it's 2 years in, going on 3 years, I lose count. We're just getting started.
Most definitely. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Yep.